Okay, so we're back. Our bake is finished. It looks redonkulous right now. It's all sorts of craziness. Now, the first thing you need to know is that the thing that 3D Max shows you is kind of like a complete map. It's going to show you like a little bit of everything. So kind of ignore what this looks like. You can see some errors and some things that are popping up, but generally this is kind of not what most of your textures are going to look like. So just ignore that. So you just close this down. And let's take a look. So I'm going to open up Photoshop here, and we can take a look at the texture maps separately, and we'll kind of discuss them a little bit and take a look at them. So let's just pop open some files here. So I'm going to go to my documents, Autodesk, images. Where are you? Why can't I see you? Serious? Exports? Am I not seeing this? Imports? Sane assets, images. My bad. Okay, so let's take a look. I did not name my stuff at all, so I have no idea what it came out as. Monitors, low diffuse. Yes, all right. So we have low diffuse, lighting, and normal maps. So these are our three different textures that it baked out. So first one here is our diffuse map. So it's just the colors that we assigned on things, as you see here. We have our normal map, which is all our fancy pants details from all that. So again, this is a really low res texture, so this stuff's going to look a little junky, but we're starting to see a little bit of errors and some things in here too, so we can discuss those once we get into 3 Max and some other programs. And this is our ambient occlusion. This is kind of where you'll see a bunch of the problems. So remember when we talked about ray miss and ray miss checks and the red color that they had in there? This is where you'll start seeing them. And what those mean is that they shot out some rays from lighting and from the normal maps and stuff like that, not from lighting, but from the projection from the cage, and it did not make contact with a high poly at all. So it's going to throw you some red marks in here. So we can go through and take a look at our mesh and see where this might have happened, if it's somewhere important, or if it's like underneath our mesh and we don't really care. So this is our occlusion map. This is our lightings map, as Max calls it in the way we're rendering. So again, this is just the skylight that we have in there, and it's just casting nice little shadows. So let's go back into 3D Max. Now, I don't like setting up a lot of shaders in Max just because they don't really look exactly how I want them to look, or how they're going to look in the engine anyways, so I don't really waste my time too much in there. But it's a good way to kind of just generally see what your stuff is looking like. So I'm just going to copy over my low poly on the side here and get rid of the projection modifier. I'm just going to call this like computers low. All right, so I'm going to throw open the material editor here. All right, we have our crazy one with all our spheres that we made for assigning materials. So I'm just going to pick a blank one that we haven't used yet, throw that on here. And under diffuse, you guys can use the other material editor if you like. I'm just going to throw bitmap in. And I'm going to throw in, well, let's start with our diffuse map. So I'm going to throw that in. You can click the little show shaded materials and viewport. And there we have it. We have our materials that we've assigned to things. I'm going to hide my low here. Let's see how close we got to this. All right, so most of it is pretty good. We have some nonsense going on in here. It looks like it's capturing possibly the pipes underneath or something else, who knows. So that is definitely a problem area that we're seeing right now, which is good. It's something we can address when we do our next bakes. That's why I like doing the low res bakes. They don't take too long to bake, and we get a good sense of any errors that might be popping up. You start seeing here this stuff is getting projected over. So there could be a few reasons for that. Number one is our let's take a look at our low here. Could be our cage. Things could be intersecting. They look pretty good though. I can't really see any problems with the cage. You could actually have some high to low poly details intersecting each other. So this could be possibly missing some ray checks. It could be maybe a little off. Maybe I can raise my cage up on this a little bit and give it a try next time. So maybe, why no cage? Oh, because it's probably doing whatever I had selected last time. So maybe I'll raise my cage a little bit, see what that looks like. And then the other thing I could check too is I could throw an Unwrapped Modifier on here. And let's take a look at some of those problem areas and see if we can see anything in the unwrapper. And let's see. Okay, just move it out of the way there. All right, so we have here. So I know this is my problem area. So it doesn't look like anything's overlapped. Sometimes you can have, if this was like cutting through here or something like that, it would be capturing some really crazy looking stuff, but it looks pretty fine to me. So might just be a low poly, high poly kind of thing. There's a little bit of weird smoothing groups on there too, so I might have to take a look at what's going on with the low poly there. Our next problem area is this area back here. So if I select that guy, that's over here. This looks pretty good too. Doesn't look like there's any overlapping elements or anything like that. So let's raise the cage and like we did and give it another bake. We'll see what it looks like. But before we do that, let's just get rid of this unwrap. Go back here, open up my material editor again, and instead of viewing, putting in the diffuse map, I'm going to put in the lightings map. And this is where stuff starts looking a little nicer and kind of cool. So now you start seeing here, this guy's really low poly, but he got some really nice details, right? We got some nice shadows, bit of nice lighting. This stuff isn't really coming out all that great. This is kind of black too. So it's probably, too low, not actually capturing some of that detail. Same with these guys. These guys might need a bit of a low poly addition as well. We're getting some really dark areas there. Possibly, yeah, because the low poly isn't quite matching up to the high poly there. Yeah, same problems that we're getting over here too, so that's cool. We can take a look at that. And you see here we're getting some ray misses as well, those red guys, which means that most likely just means the low poly does not match the high poly really well. And a little bit of stuff back here. For the most part, it's looking quite nice. It looks like it caught my stuff pretty well. Again, a few little issues here and there. So alright, so let's leave this guy over here, and let's go back to our cage, or our low poly. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to get rid of my projection modifier, and I'm going to go back right to the low poly. And I'm going to take a look here, see where these guys might be going wrong. So maybe my low poly here just needs to be a little higher. Looks like it's maybe just sunk in a little bit too low. So maybe I'll push that out a little bit. My unwraps should stay pretty good. I know I'm not doing anything too crazy to this thing. So I won't have to re-unwrap my mesh. If I feel I've made too many changes, then yes, I might have to go through my unwrap and adjust from there, but this should be fine. And are these guys... You know what? I might need to add a vert right here and connect these guys, unless they're already like that. Let's see. I see, I connected that across here. That was not a good move. There we go, that's feeling a little better. I think I, just not, was not matching the actual high poly really well. Alright, let's get that. I'm just gonna flatten these guys, make sure they're nice and even. Remember, do a little bit of that. Let's see here. Came out pretty good. Might want to smooth out these smoothing groups too. So sometimes you can see here, this stuff came out nice and smooth. The normal maps will probably capture all this really well, but this guy's a little sharp right now, so I might adjust the smoothing group too. He's pretty steep, but that might help him smooth out a little bit of this as well. Let's take a look. Just isolate this guy. Let's take a look at what our smoothing group is here. This other one is 2, so I could probably set all these guys as 2, and they'll be fine. Yeah, that should be good. I might do that for this monitor as well too. Anytime I know that I've kind of unwrapped things together like this, they might just require a bit of a smoothing pass. That might do some weird stuff. We'll see what that looks like. I'll leave that on for now. These guys back here too, they're probably giving me some problems just because the smoothing groups aren't very smooth. Let's do that. Clear those, add like a crazy smoothing group up there. You know what, maybe we have a little bit of a break there. That looks better. This area, we'll see how that bakes out once we get it into Unity and stuff like that. Might need a bit of a pass too. Maybe these guys as well. So smoothing groups can definitely, help you have a nicer bake. So you will have to go through and adjust some things and make sure they look fine. Again, a lot of it's going to be just trial and error, baking, getting into the engine, seeing what it looks like, and kind of going from there. Let's see, these guys could probably use a flatter smoothing group. All right, let's go back here. So let's take a look at some of our other problem areas. So this area should be fine now. This guy here, he might just be sticking out a little too far, or too far in, just not matching our high poly. Let's see. He's pretty good. I'm going to just try a bigger cage for him and see if that's a good solution to that problem. Oh, did I crash out max? No, I'm good. Sweet. Okay, so I've done a couple of those things, and let's give that a try again. So I'm going to go to render to texture again. Oh, apparently it's up somewhere. Oh, it was on this other monitor. So I'm going to have to do the same thing again. I'm going to have to pick and get my high poly in there, reset my cage. I'm probably going to push my cage a little bit higher, and excuse me, I might even bake these guys out a little bit bigger because it was a little hard to see the details there. So I'm going to do my high poly. It's going to take a little while, so I'm going to cut the video. But then we will come back and we'll take a look at the new results and then see where we go from there, okay? All right, see you in a bit.